Hey everyone, and welcome back. I'm so excited to jump into today's explainer. We're stepping straight into the shadows to look at some of the most captivating, completely unsolved mysteries from all over the world. We're going to journey from ancient folklore to some seriously bizarre historical anomalies, and then, well, we'll ground ourselves in the actual science of the supernatural. So if you've ever found yourself wondering about things that go bump in the night, you're in the right place. Let's get right into it and start breaking down these incredible stories.
Okay, let's dive right into this. What exactly do a faceless ghost, a 15th century painting, and a totally haunted forest have in common? I mean, at first glance, absolutely nothing. But as we go through this explainer, you're going to see that they all tap into this deep human obsession with the unknown. They're like giant puzzle pieces that have stumped people for decades and sometimes literally centuries. Let's start unraveling all this, kicking things off with a pretty chilling legend.
All right, section one, the faceless ghost legend.
So I want you to picture this. We're in the isolated, hilly region of Akasaka in Japan. A long time ago, a merchant is traveling completely alone through these desolate hills, and he spots a young girl just standing there, crying uncontrollably. Obviously concerned, he stops, asks her what she's doing out in the middle of nowhere. The crying just stops. She turns around, but instead of a normal face, the merchant sees a completely smooth canvas of skin. No eyes, no nose, nothing at all. You can imagine the absolute terror. The guy literally ran for his life. This thing he saw, it's known as the no-para-bo, or the faceless ghost. It's a huge urban legend in Japan. But here's the really wild twist about these entities. As horrifying as they look, they actually only exist to scare people. Like, they don't cause any physical harm at all unless you try to attack them first. They're shapeshifters, so they can look like anyone just to really dial up that scare factor. The legend is actually so popular over there that it pops up in media all the time. If you're a fan of the classic anime Doraemon, they actually dedicated an entire episode to this exact ghost. Pretty wild, right? Moving right along to section 2, a creepy reincarnation mystery. Let's look at the timeline and see how this builds, because this is a heavily documented case. Back in 1957, there was a horrific car accident that took the lives of 3 children from the same family, ages 9, 11, and 16. Just an unimaginable tragedy. But then, about a year later in 1958, the grieving family ended up having twin girls. Fast forward to 1964. The twins are 4 years old, just starting to really talk, but instead of normal toddler babble, they start having these incredibly specific conversations about the lives of their deceased sisters. And the level of detail these 4-year-olds knew was just staggering. We're talking exact, hyper-specific facts about that fatal 1957 accident. They would point to spots on their own bodies and say, "This is where my sister got a scar," and it would match up perfectly. They even talked about school events they literally could never have attended. On top of that, they had this intense, totally unexplained phobia of sitting in cars. It was like they had the memories and maturity of the older girls. Obviously, their parents were completely stunned. It really begs the question, is this genuine reincarnation, or is there some other explanation? All right, let's pivot a bit here. Section 3, the 15th century UFO painting. Now, what's really interesting about this debate is a tiny detail hiding in the background of Domenico Ghirlandaio's famous painting, Madonna with Saint Giovannino. If you look up in the sky behind the Madonna, there is this weird disc-like object just hovering there. The debate over this is pretty intense. On one side, people are saying, look, that is extraterrestrial evidence. It's a flying saucer. And they point out that there's actually a guy painted in the background who is physically shielding his eyes and looking right up at it. But on the flip side, skeptics and art historians argue it's just a traditional religious depiction of an angel, or maybe even just a random paint smudge. We're not here to take sides on this, But you gotta admit, it's fascinating to wonder why a 15th century painter, way before airplanes were even a thought, would intentionally include a flying disc and a guy staring at it.
Let's jump into Section 4, Romania's haunted Hoia Baciu. So, Hoia Baciu is this incredibly dense forest in Transylvania, and it has a terrifying reputation. Visitors consistently report this really unsettling psychological thing called lost time. And it's exactly what it sounds like. People wander into the trees, and when they finally come out, they realize hours and hours have passed, but they have absolutely zero memory of what happened. Just a total mental blackout. But it's not just in their heads, it gets physical too. Tourists frequently come out of these woods covered in completely unexplained burns and scratch marks. They have no clue how they got them. This wild mix of physical injuries and missing time has sparked so many theories. Some locals swear it's paranormal, while others lean into the pseudoscientific idea that the forest sits on some massive, wacky electromagnetic field, kind of like a terrestrial Bermuda Triangle. Scientists still haven't fully cracked what's actually happening to people in there. Okay, time for a reality check. Section 5, The Science Behind the Paranormal. And this brilliantly illustrates how biology and chemistry can totally play tricks on us. Sometimes a haunting comes down to a simple 3-step scientific reality. Step 1, you have a house that just lacks proper fresh air circulation. Step 2, because it's sealed up, deadly gases like carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide start building up inside. Step 3, the people living there start getting gas poisoning. And you know what a major symptom of that is? Severe hallucinations. People start seeing shadows, hearing voices, feeling this intense sense of dread. They are 100% convinced their house is haunted. But actually, it's just a gas leak. It is wild how a bad ventilation system can perfectly mimic a ghost story. So, what does all this mean? Is it a ghost or just bad ventilation? I mean, sure, we can use science, like testing for carbon monoxide, to explain away a lot of things that go bump in the night. But the world is massive, and it's still full of things we just don't fully understand yet. From faceless figures in the hills of Japan to weird anomalies on an Italian canvas, the next time you feel a random chill down your spine in an old house, well, maybe check the air vents first. But if the air is totally fine, who really knows what's hiding in the shadows? Keep learning, keep questioning everything, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.